Supreme Court tangles with factual disputes in Trump's National Guard deployment case. A legal storm brews as Trump attempt to deploy National Guard troops in Chicago faces judicial scrutiny over disputed facts and executive overreach. The U.S. Supreme Court is confronting a high-stake dispute over President Donald Trump's controversial move to deploy National Guard troops in Chicago, a decision the Justice Department argues is vital to control mob violence linked to protests against his immigration policies. Local authorities, however, paint a dramatically different picture, describing the demonstrations as limited, controlled, and far from chaos depicted by a federal official. At the heart of the case lies a conflict over facts. A lower court temporarily blocked Trump's deployment, citing unreliable testimony and questionable evidence. The Justice Department's emergency appeal, relying heavily on affidavits by Immigration and Custom Enforcement Russell Hott and Border Patrol's Daniel Parra, describes escalating unrest and attacks on federal agents. Yet Judge April Perry ruled their statements impossible to align with verified records, raising concern of a potential lack of candor. Legal scholars warn that the Supreme Court, traditionally an appellate body, not a fact-finding institution, risks crossing constitutional boundaries. It would be problematic for the Supreme Court to engage in factual determination, said Brandon Garrett of Duke University. The city of Chicago and the state of Illinois contended that Trump's military deployment serves as a political weapon, punishing Democratic-led regions under the guise of national security. The president has previously dispatched troops to Los Angeles, Memphis, and Washington, D.C., citing domestic unrest. Critics argue these moves represent an alarming expansion of military authority in civilian affairs. Key discrepancies in testimony deepen the controversy. Federal affidavits allege riots involving hundreds of demonstrators, while local police reports fewer than 50 protesters, minimal disruption, and excessive federal use of force. The mirrored phrasing in the official declaration, including gender inconsistencies about a border patrol agent involved in a shooting, further erodes credibility. As the justices deliberate, the case has become a litmus test for the separation of powers, judicial credibility, and the limits of executive authority in the American constitutional framework.